Today, I want to be addressing the topic anxiety, or what many people call panic attacks as well. So, what is anxiety and panic attacks? It's when you have sudden onset of heart palpitations, you start reacting physically, emotionally, mentally, and you do not know what to do, you do not know what's happening, and you start to stutter, and this goes on rapidly and it becomes a condition that you suffer from. So today I have my awesome friend here.
Hey guys,
this
what's up?
man, punk, ANF punk, an ex-USS performer, a singer, songwriter, and a composer as well. Guy, show them your guns, man. Show them your guns, show them your
Not
guns.
much guns, man. That's all.
Yeah, see, look at that, look at that. Alright, so today we'll be talking about his journey from going from school to being a performer, and when he started having anxiety and how it affected him in his, not just his work life, but his surroundings, his relationships, with his family, etc. Alright, bro, so go ahead and share with us about your experience.
Okay, so when I first had symptoms of anxiety, I didn't know it was anxiety. I thought there was something really medically wrong with me. So the first attack happened when I was still in university about a year ago. It was just a normal stressful university day, you know, filled with projects and stuff like that. And then back then I was, I think, just very affected by everything. So it was just a random thing. I was just going to one of the fast food establishments to find food, of course, you know, you're hungry. And then I felt like this numbing sensation on my leg. So I thought it was, okay, I mean, I have never felt that before. So, and then I just like, it was just very weird to me, because, and I'm the kind of person, just to put it across from the start, when I have certain feelings around my body, or if I have a certain rash on my hand, or if I have a certain, for example, like a pain that I've never felt before, I will tend to Google the thing, because Dr. Google tells you everything, but that's one of the mistakes that we'll touch on later.
Sure.
So that happened, and then next thing you know, I just, when I was sitting down trying to wait for my food, and then I really zoned out. Like I've never done it before. I zoned out. I completely felt like my body was there. My body was at the spot, but I wasn't there. Like I was just like, basically I wasn't feeling too good.
Yeah. Shift.
There was a like shift. Like I've never felt that before. I started feeling my hands going numb, my left and my right hand. My head was like feeling very numb as well. I couldn't feel the back of my head, and then I started feeling numb in other parts of my body. And then so after I went to the toilet, I tried to like, oh, you know what's going on. I was so scared. And then shortly after, I just told my friends that, you know what, I'm sorry, I have to leave. And then that was my first hospital experience with anxiety. So in a cab on the way home, I thought it was just me being tired. But then after that, when I was about to reach home, I suddenly couldn't breathe. Like I really couldn't breathe. I thought it was going to be a heart attack or something. It was going to be maybe something wrong with my lungs. And then I just told the cab driver, you know what, send me to the hospital. So that was the first ever hospital experience I had. But and that was when it all started to fall into place, because when I was in the hospital, and then suddenly like my symptoms went away automatically. Like, and then the doctor told me like, you know, maybe it's because you didn't have enough sleep, you didn't have enough rest, you know, and your body tends to show this kind of symptoms. So I thought it was just a matter of overexertion or something related to that, because they did blood tests, they did everything, so they cleared me out within a few hours itself. And then shortly after, within the few months that went on, it started to get even more prominent. The symptoms started to really show. I started to feel numbness again on my left side of my arms. And then I started to feel that the head thing was constant, you know, wasn't able to feel like sensations on my head. Started to get even more breathless. So it just kept on getting worse and worse and worse. So as it got worse, every time, like I said, I'm a very paranoid person, you know, because I'm used to being very healthy, I'm used to working out, I'm used to running, I'm used to doing physical things, you know, that are very, like makes you feel very healthy. But so when all this happened, I felt like, oh, there's something really wrong with me. So I started going for brain scans, like CT scans. I started going for blood tests. I started going for like, you know, just to be evaluated by doctors. But every time I went to the doctor, every time I went to the hospital, I went to a clinic, every time it would be the same answer. You didn't have enough sleep, you didn't have enough rest, maybe you're overthinking. So it kept on going on, and I realized that, you know what, I'm starting to pay for all these things. Like, you know, hospitals aren't cheap, because back then I didn't have any form of coverage whatsoever. Clinics weren't cheap as well, because I always went to a private clinic, because, you know, I didn't want to wait so long. So every time it it just keeps on adding on to the bills, and that also contributed to more overthinking and
More
then
stress, more pressure.
stress. Yes,
Okay.
until one day this doctor told me that, you know what, like the symptoms are all checked out. You went for a brain scan, you went for blood tests, nothing was out of the ordinary. You might actually have anxiety, which I was like, okay, that's something new, because I've never had this kind of thing until only like about a year ago. So when I established the fact that I got anxiety, that's when Dr. Google became even better of a friend, I would say, because I started googling symptoms of anxiety and stuff like that, and it didn't help really. Yeah, it got really much worse from there. Yeah.
During that period when you realized that something clearly is wrong, you're starting to feel not just physically but emotionally, mentally affected. Did you feel lost, jaded? Was there a sense of desire to be able to talk to someone but not being able to do it? How did you respond to that?
I wouldn't say jaded or anything like that. It was just okay. The hardest part about having anxiety, which I believe others out there can relate to me, is that having people understand what anxiety is all about. Because people think that anxiety is just about, you're feeling nervous, or you're feeling just uncomfortable in a certain stressful situation.
Like, it's no big deal.
It's no big deal. You can just get over it within the next 5 to 10 minutes. It'll be okay. Those kind of things. It's a stigma that's surrounded within the topic of anxiety itself. But what many people don't realize is that anxiety is actually a response by your brain. So it sends a signal to your central nervous system and activates a fight or flight response. So if you don't know what fight or flight response is, basically it's, for example, if you're out in the wild and then you see a tiger in front of you, your body will naturally tense up, and then you have these defense mechanisms working to ensure that you somehow will survive against any attacks or something like that. But with anxiety, the thing is that this response, this fight or flight response, where your body is tensing up and where your body is protecting itself against like a threat or a disease, for example, it's activated more than usual. It's activated as compared to only during stressful moments, it's activated anytime randomly. So the thing about how it affects your body is that it really numbs out your certain parts of your body. You feel uncomfortable, you feel certain sensations you never felt before, and then you start googling it, and then when you Google things, from what I've noticed, that every time you Google a single thing, for example, you say there's a bump on my left neck or my right neck, because for example you feel like a bump, and then they say, perhaps you have cancer, or perhaps you have something really, really serious, and then you start feeling even more conscious, you feel even more stressed out. So that adds to the anxiety. Yeah, it's just about getting people to understand what anxiety is all about, and getting them to be patient with you, because sometimes you tend to react in a certain way. You tend to not be yourself. You tend to be more triggered. Sometimes when people say things about you, or things that you don't want to listen, you just sometimes tend to push them away, or you just tend to shut people out, kind of thing. So it's hard to make people understand the extent of how anxiety really affects our physical and also emotional well-being. Yeah.
How do you think that the people who are surrounding an individual who has anxiety attacks, can actually be more understanding, show more empathy in terms of not just in a physical way but in an emotional aspect as well? Okay,
so it's not just about saying okay, you're gonna be okay. For a person who has anxiety, you want positive words coming into your direction, because anxiety is very, it really hammers you down, it brings you to a new low that you've never felt before. I feel that as a person who has or who's going through anxiety, who's still recovering from anxiety, I think the best way for someone to work around a person with anxiety is just to try to understand the situation. As opposed to giving advice, because it's hard to advise on something that you don't experience. And a lot of people who have anxiety can relate to me as well, because they'll definitely tell you things like, if you don't have it, you never understand, which is true, because it's something that doesn't happen to everybody. But at the same time, as a person who's going through anxiety, you cannot expect people to understand. You cannot expect too much of them. So the best way to probably go around this is, for a person who's dealing with people who are suffering from anxiety, is that just be there for them, show them moral support, give them a bit more time to maybe space out a bit, level themselves out, take them out of a situation. For example, if you're out, going to eat or something, maybe just bring them out. Maybe just let them sit down, maybe help them with their breathing, go through the deep breathing exercises, because that really helps. Okay, by the way, because most of the time when anxiety people or people with anxiety who feels physical symptoms like really smack on, one of the things they forget to do is to breathe. So if you help them in this, you help them maintain or get back their breathing cycle, it actually helps. It really helps to calm them down and also helps with the heart palpitations and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. And since you're a musician, I mean, you write music, you make music, you sing.
Yeah.
During the moments where you have anxiety attacks, you won't be able to expect it or even anticipate that it's going to happen. And when it happens during that moment, what have you done and what can someone do? So besides breathing, is there anything else that to be able to calm themselves down, take maybe their mind off things? Is there like some form of alignment they can have prepared before that?
I mean, to address it in the music term or in terms that before a performance. This can be even for like if you're a dancer, if you're a stage actor, for example. I think one of the key elements when you're dealing with this is because normally when you have anxiety, when you go to see a psychiatrist, for example, they always try to do CBT on you, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is to rewire your brain. But how often do you actually see a therapist, or how often do you actually see a psychiatrist? For the matter of fact. So what I did for myself is I started researching on things that will help me handle it. So one of the things that really helped me is you have to think positive. You have to remind yourself that anxiety is not a death sentence. You've been through all the checks. You've done all the things that to know that you're okay physically, but you need to keep telling yourself and reminding yourself every single day, even when it gets really really bad, that you're not gonna die from it. It's just very uncomfortable and you need to be used to it. Many people think that they have this thing that, okay, I have to keep fighting it and fighting it and fighting it until it gets better. But I tried that and it didn't work for me. The best way that I've gone around it is to accept the fact that you have anxiety, accept the fact that it makes you feel uncomfortable, accept the fact that sometimes you can't breathe, sometimes you feel as though like your head is heavy, you have very tight chest sensation, stuff like that. You have to accept the feeling, and when you finally accepted it, and then you can tell yourself, you know what, you're not gonna pass out from it, you're gonna be okay. You just give it some time, focus on your breathing, and then especially before you go on stage for a performance, for example, you have to tell yourself that okay, you're gonna do something that you love, you're gonna do something that is that you're passionate about. So even though when you're nervous, something, when you're out there, you are giving, you're sharing your passion or your talents with people. So it's a feel good factor. So what it's kind of a counterbalance against anxiety, because when you have these feel good factors, that
something's embracing you,
a sense of comfort. There's this term for it that is, scientific term that goes like this feel good hormones thing. So when you work out or when you perform, it actually helps to subside the anxiety a bit, because the adrenaline is there, your heart is pumping, so it actually helps. So always remind yourself that do the things you love, but at the same time, like, know that it's not a death sentence. It's something that you can go through it. You learn to accept it and embrace the fact that it's part of you right now. Yeah, every day. Yeah.
So basically, once you have come into acceptance about it, when you're not in denial, when you apply, the techniques or whatever that will actually help you to calm down, whether it's something that you love to do or something that perhaps you've never tried, perhaps meditation or yoga, and it actually helps you to calm down, or swimming, painting, something that actually calms your nerves, your emotional system during that period of time, stimulates you to relax. And also, if suddenly you have an attack, the best thing to do is to breathe, calm yourself down, tell yourself it's fine, you're strong and you can keep moving forward, and try to just take the mind off things for that moment. So the most important is perhaps also to have some time for yourself. Like if you are in a very crowded situation with your family or friends and you have that attack, then it's fine to take a step away and just have some time on your own, right? Cool. And has music helped you, since you're so big on music? Has it had a form of comfort, whether it's the lyrics, the tunes, the beats, even making it or singing or just listening to music itself?
Definitely it helps, because the whole notion of music is, it's fun, it's relaxing, it's it really helps with, people can really relate to music because based on the lyrics and the things like that. But what really helps me in terms of music is essentially just doing something I love, something I'm passionate about, and it keeps me in check, like with my emotional self-being, my emotional well-being, and also how it takes me away from a stressful situation, because music has always been an escape for me.
Yeah.
It's never been a stress thing. Of course sometimes it's stressful, you have to write things, you have deadlines, but it's always been an escape from reality, for example. So when I'm doing it, I feel like I'm in a zone where I'll never be in if I'm doing my normal things. Yeah, so it takes me out of a stressful situation. So I can say that it can be applicable to other things as well. If you're a person who enjoys working out, that's amazing. That can really take you out a bit. I'll move on to how it affects life with your family members and your friends.
Sure.
So yeah, one thing that anxiety sufferers always do on a frequent basis is that you're out with your friends, you're having fun, you're having a great time, but when you have an attack that happens randomly, for example, you're out eating with your friends and then you suddenly can't breathe, you always take the easy way out. You always try to remove yourself from the equation. So what I did back then was that I'm out with my friends, and then I said that, you know what guys, I have to go home. I have something on at home, but as a matter of fact, it's not. It's just because I'm feeling uncomfortable, or I can't breathe, or I'm just my head is not straight. So what that does to you is it creates an easy way out. It creates
a pattern, a defense mechanism.
Yeah, and how your body reacts to this. You will remember, because every time you have an attack, you gotta go home and then you feel safe. Home is like your safe zone,
Yep.
And it's not the best way of doing it.
You still counter it during that moment?
Yeah, I would say the best way is actually okay, you're having a time with your friends and family, and then you feel that, oh, I have an attack. But try to tell yourself, okay, you know what? Stay, breathe, think of positive things. This is gonna help you, because at first, okay, for example, I'll give you a situation. At first, that happens to you when you're with your friends. It takes you 2 hours to feel a bit better, and then the next time it happens to you, you'll take 1 hour and 50 minutes. The next time it happens to you, take 1 hour and a half. So every time I realize that when I don't when I don't run away from the problem, when I don't take myself out of the equation, and I still enjoy time with my family and friends, I realize it gets much better. It gets easier to cope. And when I've accepted that, when you've accepted that, you realize that it can be done. It can be done. It's not. Home is not just a place where you seek comfort or you seek shelter, but it's where you find shelter within yourself. You find a sense of comfort within yourself, and that will really help you along the way. Yeah.
Sure. So basically, sometimes you cannot change the situation immediately, but you can change the way you deal with it.
Yes.
You respond.
Yeah.
And strengthen yourself as well, right? So that you can, because like you mentioned, anxiety attacks is not a lifelong disease or a very severe disorder. It could be severe as a symptom.
Yeah, it is.
But there are things you can do to actually adapt and to be able to cope better.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else you feel that is imperative for people who suffer from it, or people who are surrounding someone that suffers from it, to know?
It's important to know that people with anxiety they're just regular people like me and you. They're not. They don't have
you don't have to look a certain way or to be constantly shivering or shaking, moving.
Signs, and sometimes it doesn't show on them. They can be super physically fit. They can be they could really look super healthy, but
very energetic,
very vibrant. But
when it happens, it's gonna be a big impact. It's gonna be rapid. So don't judge these people and think that it's very mild. It's nothing much. It's not gonna increase to something that is going to be more severe. It's more of just listening, engaging, understanding, showing empathy, and then taking care, right? Embracing them, seeing how you can help them, give some value in whatever ways.
Maybe remind them, you know what, nothing bad's gonna happen. I'm here for you. So in case if you're gonna pass out, I'm gonna be here for you.
Exactly.
I'm gonna call the ambulance. Don't worry about it, because you're not gonna be alone in this. I'm here. As compared to if you tell them it's gonna be okay, then they'll be like, no, it's not gonna be okay. I'm suffering with it. You're not feeling it. Just tell them, you know what, I know what you're going through. Maybe not I know. Maybe I understand what you're going through.
But no matter what, I'm here for you.
I'm here for you. So if anything happens, don't worry about it. Just relax. That gives a better sense of reassurance and comfort to a person who has anxiety, and I hope people out there will try to understand anxiety even more, and let's all try to break the stigma that is surrounding anxiety. one of the most obvious things that people try to do or people try to discover when they have anxiety is to actually find a cure for anxiety. So this is a very big misconception, because honestly there's no like
Specific
like cure for anxiety. There's no like magic pill that makes everything go away. I wish there was, honestly, because I'll be the first person there in line.
Except for drugs, you know.
Yeah.
But it's still not gonna cure it, and then you become addicted to it.
Yeah.
So
One of the first few things that I tried when I found out that I had anxiety is that doctors prescribed me with benzos. So benzos are things like Xanax, clonazepam. So these are things that actually how would you say it? They help to
calm your nerves, take away
yes.
emotions for a little bit.
Yeah, so
Make you numb.
sometimes they make you sleepy as well.
Yeah.
But what I realized that with this kind of medicinal therapy, prescribed medication is that it's a temporary relief. If you think about it, this kind of benzos are, it makes you very dependent on them. It makes you sometimes addicted to benzos, and there are side effects that goes with it. So I knew about all this, but I still took it. I still took benzos for a while, maybe for a period of a month or two.
Yeah.
And I realized that it's a temporary relief, and it's never gonna make me better, because I'm just trying to supplement myself with something that can only do so much for my well-being, my personal well-being. So one day I just decided to throw everything out the window. I stopped taking my medication. I went cold turkey. I don't recommend this, okay? It's just a disclaimer thing. I don't recommend it, but I did. I went cold turkey. I just threw out my supplements. I threw out all the benzos, all the medication, and I just worked on getting myself better through, I tried meditation, I tried working out, exercising, being more aware of my own well-being.
Having better sleep cycle.
Better sleep cycle, yes, in a way, yeah.
Changing the lifestyle, the things you do, the choices
you make, yeah. Basically, there was also a moment of time where I just tried to, push away all the negativities that was surrounding me, because that's important, especially if you have anxiety and the negative things are still around you. It makes it really hard for you to continue moving on. But yeah, I went cold turkey. I pushed out all the medications and stuff like that, and I realized that it was a slow start, like into getting better, but it was getting better. Like I'm able to sit here with Ezmond and have a conversation with you guys without feeling breathless, or without feeling like, oh man, I'm feeling numb on my leg or something like that. Because it tends to happen quite frequently back then when I was even still on medication. So
it takes time, but you have to figure out that it's not just medications that's gonna cure or take away this anxiety, but it's from you. It has to come from you. It takes time, but when you acknowledge it and you start figuring out things that will help you, eventually, and you keep persevering. Because at the end of the day, medications are chemicals, right? They were made by men. It's not gonna take it all away from you, the anxiety, because as a human being you will have all these emotions, all these feelings. Just doing things that will help.
Doing things that will help, and just reassuring yourself that it's gonna be okay, and like nothing really bad is gonna happen. And most importantly, I think, if you do have anxiety, don't be afraid to seek help. Don't be afraid to go out there, talk to someone who's an expert about this. I think with a deeper understanding about anxiety, there's a possibility that you can accept it much easier as compared to you don't know. It's hard for you to go around something that you don't know. If you don't know it, there's only so much you can do to make yourself feel better. For me, really anxiety, it brings about the notion of mind over matter, or the mind is a very powerful tool, and it's really true, because you have no idea. I had no idea how much your mind is able to affect you in ways that you always think your mind as a tool which only brings out
all here, right?
Emotions. But when you realize that, wow, it's responsible for everything and anything,
how you operate your
physical
mind.
symptoms, how you operate your mind, and then you start to appreciate what mental well-being is all about, and then you start to realize that people out there who suffers from even worse things, like maybe they have bipolar, or maybe they have things which are even more like stronger,
severe
on a long-term basis, chronic mental illnesses. You have to have yourself like there's bound to be a sense of appreciation for people like that, because they're going through something which is really tough every day, but somehow life still goes on. And when you see things like that, and when you gather strength and inspiration from people like that, it helps towards your own recovery, but at the same time it helps also towards other people's recoveries, because you are able to go out there and reach out to them and say, you know what, I have the same thing as you, I have the same problem that you have on a daily basis, you're not alone. And this helps to make the community a much more conducive place to be in terms of recovering. I realized that when I started being more open about my condition, being more open about anxiety and sharing it on my social media streams, people actually reach out to me and say like, you know what, I thought I was the only one who has a problem, or the only one who's going through these physical symptoms every day. And when you're alone and you feel lost or whatsoever, like, and things like that, it becomes really very scary on yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's good sometimes to let it out.
Let it out, yeah. Share it with
be vulnerable.
Yeah. Like, take vulnerability not as a weakness, but take it as a platform or a tool for you to actually be a stronger person, both in body and also in mind.
I think he has said it really well. So just to wrap this up, guys, I hope that if you're someone out there that suffers from anxiety, bear in mind that it is fine to go through that, accept it, but keep moving forward. Find the things you can do to be able to adapt. Perhaps a friend or someone that you can share it to. I'm not saying that you have to make a video like that as well if you're not comfortable with it. Do it when you're fine, because everyone has their own recovery process and journey. It's different for each individual. So when you see someone out there that is sharing about anxiety, or if they share with you that they have anxiety, I think the most important is to listen. Ask them how you can help, how you can make their situation better, and be there for them sincerely, genuinely, to help them to come up from it. Let's make a difference, to give some love, be generous and kind, and help each other better. Alright guys, I hope all of you had an amazing time watching this video and got a lot of value. Have a great week ahead, and I hope that you too, my friend, you will have a great week, and everything will go smoothly for everybody. So thank you very much, bro, for being here with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao, bye bye.
See ya.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.